Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on nutrition to support mental health. My name is Katie. I'm one of the registered dietitians here with the World Trade Center Health Program. Myself, along with my coworker Amanda, do these webinars every month on different topics. And today's topic, as I said, is nutrition to support mental health. So the topics I'm going to be reviewing today include the link between diet and depression, also anxiety, emotional eating, gut-brain connection, dietary tips to support you, as well as other important wellness factors. So I love this quote here that says mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you're going. So we're always on a journey. And my goal today is to take a nutritional look at our mental well-being, be it brain health, mental health in terms of mood, etc., and how we can support you on this journey we call life and our mental health well-being. So the link between diet and depression, what is the connection? There are quite a few connections. I actually am going to see if I can swap this. There we go. So now you're not seeing my notes. So diet and depression, there are quite a few connections. Obviously, being depressed or being upset, having emotions can lead to an increase or a decrease in appetite. We may find that we have a stimulated preference for comfort foods, in that being salty, sweet, fatty, etc. Many of us tend to grab those types of food items in a moment of feeling down, which we will discuss that sort of cycle in a moment. But when you have depression or any sort of mental hardship, mental illness, things like that, it really can make it very difficult. You may feel fatigued due to inability to sleep or the medications that you're on, and easy to perform tasks such as, cooking, going to the gym, cleaning your home may prove to be very difficult. So throw that, on top of trying to lose weight. It can be very hard. And we're acknowledging that, but the goal is to try to help you manage it a little bit better. So your weight can increase or decrease as well, as a side effect. Medications that we take for depression can impact our weight status. And sometimes if we do have, a very difficult time eating, that can also lead to actually a weight reduction. So we see both ends of the spectrum. In addition, stress hormones like cortisol are altered, which can lead to metabolic issues, including heart disease, insulin resistance, diabetes, among others. Nutrition deficiencies that we see, so think like vitamin mineral standpoint, include B vitamins, zinc, folate, magnesium, and omega 3s. So, as I said, it can be very difficult to manage our weight when we're struggling with our emotional well being. However, um, it is a two-way street. So, the hormones can play a big role. But 5 ways that stress can impact our body include intensifying our hunger and cravings, which we spoke about, slowing down the metabolism by suppressing thyroid production, draining our energy so we're too tired to work out, and possibly interfering with sleep, therefore making it difficult to keep long-term goals in the front of our minds. So it is a cascade. The goal is to help us, tackle some of that. But hormones do also play a big role. And in the next few months, we'll be discussing this more. So May 9th, we'll be reviewing more women's health hormones, think menopause, those types of things. And then in June, we'll be discussing men's health nutrition. So think thyroid, prostate, testosterone, and everything does kind of go hand in hand with good nutrition. So it is quite a vicious cycle in terms of the emotional type of eating cascade, or when we're trying to lose weight, and that, we start to feel anxious, maybe stressed, maybe upset, and maybe we overeat or we reach for something that we shouldn't be having, that's not in our dietary plan at the moment. And it does give us that temporary dopamine response that we're looking for, but it can also lead to feelings of guilt or shame or overeating. And also we can feel icky. I mean, you ever eat like a whole pint of ice cream and feel disgusting, but in the moment you enjoy it. So it can have that side effect, but sometimes these foods are also inflammatory, meaning like high sugar, high fat, high salt, that can, raise our blood pressure, raise our blood sugar, and lead to actually more stress or anxiety or feelings of turmoil. Once that cycle's over, we vow to do better. we say, no, I'm never going to eat sugar again, or I'm going keto, or I'm just not going to eat past 6 o'clock. And we get these like rules that are, we white knuckle down thinking that we can just power through with our willpower. But that can also lead to, more stress and anxiety, or you just something happens that puts you back into a bad tailspin. So we need to break this chain. And there's a lot of information on emotional eating and stuff in other videos we've done, so I don't want to harp too much on this, but we do recommend starting with any recent food or eating episode that troubled you, meaning maybe you ate too much, maybe it was a binge, or you ate foods you didn't want to, you felt out of control around something. I want you to write down everything that was happening around you just before that happened. Example, like where were you? What were you doing? Who were you with? What were you feeling? And write down as much detail as possible and look at your data and determine any patterns. So, some examples that could arise are every time my mom calls, I want to hit the chocolate after, or after a really long, stressful day, just give me a bag of chips and I go to town. Uh, I'm really good all day, and then dinner comes around and it's like I can't get enough and I overeat. Or maybe you scroll your phone and you look at the news before bed and then it keeps you up and then you get hungry and now you want a midnight snack. So you need to address maybe some triggers that could be going on and arising and pick out easier solutions when possible. Examples are trying to maybe plan a walk or some form of relaxing activity around a call if that person tends to stress you out, or going to the driving range or the park somewhere that's a non-home, non-work environment that you can de-stress and go to as a result before getting home, and then using food as the de-stressor. Going to, bringing more food with you so that you eat more during the day and you don't eat so much at night and become hangry. That's probably the biggest one that I see with our patients here. And lastly, putting your phone across the room and just reading before bed, maybe a novel, maybe something you enjoy, nothing with that's going to trigger you, because that can lead to bad feelings. And if none of these solutions are coming up right away, that's totally okay. We do encourage you to work with a therapist or even work with one of us to determine some ideas on how we can resolve, because it's all about breaking that chain. And but at least now maybe you're a little more aware of what's happening. So if any of this information resonated with you, definitely take a thought. And there is a break the chain worksheet that we have as well that I can send to anyone that's interested. This is a great visual of mindful eating for emotional eating and just in general being more present when we eat. We'll talk more about the gut brain connection in a moment, but you can see slow down, try to chew your food really well, focus on taste, think about who you're eating with. Try not to eat distracted right in front of the television is a big culprit for many people. Eating directly from the container is another way that we can really put ourselves into a overeating episode. Trying to, put your fork down a few times, sit at the table, but definitely work with your, mental health therapist or a dietitian to determine your triggers and more mindful eating, and check out our previous videos that we have done on this topic. So moving on to that gut-brain connection that I discussed, lots of things going on when we eat. So we get gastric distension, which is truly when the stomach just expands and stretches. There are neurons in the stomach that send a message to the brain via the vagus nerve. Um, I'm going to point this vagus nerve out quite a few times because it is that gut-brain highway. So it's very important that we're in tune with that. There's a lot of hormones that are going on that are signaling through that vagus nerve. Cholecystokinin tells the brain to stop eating. GLP-1 is what stimulates insulin. You can think of insulin like the gatekeeper to the cell, and it can help us feel more full. It can help blood sugar. And a lot of injectables nowadays, like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, they are GLP-1 uh, activity medications. So that is something to think about. Insulin itself tells your brain, like I said, that nutrients are coming, opens the cell so sugar can go in for energy. Leptin helps us understand what our energy reserves are like. And then ghrelin is our hunger hormone. So lots going on here. And then gut health as well, which I'll get to in the next slide. Our gut brain axis is that communication between the gut and the brain to the gut. and it determines a lot. So actually the serotonin, which is a happiness hormone, over 70% of serotonin is created in the gut. So it is very important to keep track of your digestion and how you're doing. Many patients here struggle with acid reflux, GERD, IBS, etc., which can lead to things like a leaky gut type syndrome, where basically the cells are no longer tight. They get this gap, and that causes bad bacteria, food particles, things to get into our bloodstream where we don't want it to be. And that can lead to a cascade of inflammation, heart disease. It actually can further brain inflammation, so it can actually lead to different neuro digestive related issues. So no bueno, but we'll talk about how to improve this. What can we do to help with gastric distension, meaning like the feeling of fullness itself in your belly? You can eat slower. Try to reduce your empty calories, meaning you can see here what 500 calories looks like. Oil, cheese, meat, it's not that much. I mean, whole grains, beans, things that are higher in fiber, and like fruits and veggies can actually expand the stomach without as many calories. So that's important. And then also staying hydrated too. There could be water in here that could be filling us up as well. For hormones, we obviously want to optimize our nutrition. We need to be exercising and sleeping and managing our stress. So we'll go more into hormones in future videos, but really take a look at your wellness and your self-care when it comes to your hormonal well-being. And then lastly, gut health. Probiotics are very strain specific. There isn't a lot of great research to support the use of probiotic for depression, but there are certain strains, which I actually will recommend at the end of this presentation, that anecdotally I have found to be very helpful for anxiety and more of that calming effect of what's going on with the vagus nerve. Plant diversity, meaning lots of different colors in your diet, are very, very important for gut health and getting those tight junctions back to being a little tighter. And then lastly, of course, high fiber. The fiber is going to strengthen this microvilli that's going on and can really help them to keep out the bad stuff and keep in the good stuff. So, like I said, fiber, fiber, fiber. 97% of individuals do not eat enough fiber. So, it is very important. The goal is 25 grams per day. And that might seem like a lot if you don't eat a lot of fiber right now, but this example day has 51 grams of fiber. So it almost has double what you need in a day, which is still good. It's not like you're going over and that's too much fiber, but you would want to start slow so that you don't get bloated or gassy because fiber, if you're not used to it, can be hard. But this breakfast is a 5.3 ounce of Greek yogurt. That's like just a cup that they sell at the grocery store size, with a quarter cup of the high fiber cereal and half a cup of raspberries. Raspberries are a powerhouse when it comes to fiber. That has 6 grams of fiber and 22 grams of protein, which is great. Lunch could be a chopped salad with some lettuce, some peppers, some carrots, cucumber. Chickpeas are the main source of fiber here. Really great for your gut. Using olive oil as a salad dressing and red wine vinegar. You can see it's decent amount of calories, but it's 21 grams of fiber and 30 grams of protein. So this meal will help keep us very full. But if we're still hungry in the afternoon, a medium apple with a 100-calorie pack of almonds will give us 5 grams of fiber and a little bit of protein. Dinner could be a protein bowl of some kind with a little bit of ground meat, like turkey or chicken, beef, with some sweet potato, some sauteed peppers and onions, and some avocado for some healthy fat and fiber. Again, ranking in around 11 grams of fiber and 26 grams of protein. And then lastly, we need a little bit of sweetness. 2 squares of like a Ghirardelli dark chocolate with 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds. I chose pumpkin seeds specifically because they're a powerhouse for protein, but they also have magnesium in them, which can really help with our sleep quality. And we will discuss magnesium later. And the chocolate, everyone likes chocolate. Chocolate has magnesium as well. And I was speaking with a friend about this presentation this week, and she specifically said that chocolate keeps the dementors away. So that is the recommendation for your chocolate intake, which I agree with. Dark chocolate just doesn't have as much fat, so that's why we like that. And you might say, Katie, that's a lot of food. What if I'm not hungry? Well, we need to start sometimes by just forcing a little bit for a very brief period of time. because not being hungry earlier in the day is a sign of a sluggish metabolism, and it can mean that we are not optimally digesting our food from the night before and that we are not as in tune. So I just want to point out that coffee is not breakfast, and you can be disrupting your hormones if you are just drinking coffee instead of eating. Sorry for the background noise. Hang on. Okay. So I definitely want everyone to remember to start with small changes and definitely pay attention to your sleep schedule as well. If you're staying up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to bed late, you're waking up late, you're really kind of throwing off that circadian rhythm. So try to have some form of structure when it comes to your sleep patterns, and your body will start to adjust. I can't tell you how many people never ate breakfast. Now they actually have a hunger growl at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. It's amazing. And if it's too much to eat, maybe opt for a yogurt or something light or a smoothie or just some form of a snack instead of a true blue like meal. So, shifting gears a little bit in terms of the nutrition support for depression specifically, we've kind of shifted from gut health, but it's all kind of correlated. Lots of plants, specifically ones that are really rich in antioxidants, phytonutrients, and gut diversity. I'll give you some examples. We already talked about the reasons for fiber, but it's really great for blood sugar regulation, feeling that fullness, and strengthening the gut lining. Send those messages back and forth to the brain. And lastly, healthy fats are very important. You might have read about maybe some cooking oils that aren't so good or ultra processed foods. We just did a webinar on that last month, which you can look at on the website. But healthy fats like avocado oil, olive oil for cooking, eating fish, chia seeds, flax seeds, those are all going to be really great for our brain health to support. So some ways to increase your antioxidants via plants. Look at all this color. It's amazing. So examples, if you're eating, let's say right now you're having just eggs for breakfast, maybe with a bowl of cereal or a bagel. Swap that out, add some spinach, add some peppers, add some onions to your morning scramble, maybe have a side of sliced fruit. Maybe to your oatmeal, let's throw in some berries, let's throw in some nuts, and then even to your just general day if you want. If you find yourself grazing on pretzels or crackers or things, just get a vegetable tray. You could get it from the grocery store, like a party tray, and nosh on that. You could do bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, celery. It's really hard to gain weight when eating vegetables. If anything, it's just going to fill you up and give you some hydration as well as fiber. So big fan of that. And when in doubt, you can start with smoothies. This is an example of what I call my de-stress smoothie. So I made this recipe specifically for this presentation. It's got powerhouse ingredients. So believe it or not, it's easier to throw in frozen vegetables like broccoli or cauliflower into your smoothie versus greens like spinach or kale. You can do that, but I find that it's more flavorful. Like you don't see it or taste it when you do broccoli, but I see or taste the spinach. So to me, it's better. And also the vitamin C and the fiber from the broccoli is amazing for you. Frozen berries have vitamin C, fiber, and what's called anthocyanin, which is this specific polyphenol that's good for your brain health. So that is pretty cool. Avocado, like we said, is a healthy fat. It's going to make the smoothie nice and creamy. Some chia seeds for some fiber and omega 3s. A little bit of Greek yogurt. You can do vanilla just so it has some flavor, and some probiotics as well. And lastly, doing some form of liquid. The liquid is a little loose. You could do milk, you could do water, I just wouldn't do juice. And you could do a cup or more as needed, and then ice as needed as well, and just blend it. And if time is a factor, this is all basically frozen stuff. So you can actually make little baggies, like a Ziploc bag of like berries, broccoli, the chia seeds, the avocado, and just throw it in the freezer. And then when you want to make a smoothie, all you have to do is dump it into a blender with yogurt and your milk, and you're good to go. You don't even really need the ice because everything will be frozen. So I like that. If you're feeling confused about what's a healthy fat or an unhealthy fat, this is a great chart. I don't want to go too deep into this, but basically your healthy fats, if you're looking at the label, are mono unsaturated fat and poly and omega 3. And your bad fats or unhealthy fats are saturated fats and trans fats and omega 6. So examples of these things are in here, and you will see healthy foods have omega 6. So it's not like you can't have eggs, but you do want to try and get more omega-3s, more of this side and less of this side. So healthy fats, like we've said, almonds, pecans, walnuts, olive oil, omega-3s like chia seed, flaxseed, walnuts, tofu, algae. There's so many different things here. And grass-fed meats and products do have a higher amount of omega-3. So just FYI. And then your saturated fat is really from your fried foods, your fatty meats, your cheese. And yes, coconut oil is a saturated fat. So I don't recommend having a ton of that, but there's some research with coconut oil, but just bear with me. And really you want to look for hydrogenated vegetable oils when it comes to your trans fats. A lot of foods in our American food supply have been forbidden basically or taken out of the mainstream diet because of trans fats. They're banned, but they do sometimes still sneak in, like think Crisco or anything from like McDonald's. It's trans fat. Um, Country crock margarine. They're sneaking in very small quantities, but none of us only have a teaspoon. We have a decent amount, so it can add up. So just be careful. Healthy fats versus unhealthy fats. And here's an example of ways you can make a better swap. So this is our standard like chicken salad sandwich with mayo on a hero roll. We can see it's 22 grams of fat and 4 grams of saturated and no healthy fats versus doing a little bit of mayo, wait, 1 tablespoon of mayo, but then 1 tablespoon of plain Greek yogurt, 0%. You're going to cut that fat in half. You can see it went from 22 to 10. And we're going to do tuna instead of chicken. So we get some more omega-3s. And even doing like a high fiber bread that's got seeds in it. Like we love the Dave's Killer bread. We recommend the 70 calorie a slice if you are watching your weight. That would be an awesome swap. And you basically cut your calories in half too. But even if the calories aren't cut in half, like the example here being a chicken Caesar salad with 2 tablespoons of creamy Caesar dressing, and then this is a basically like a chickpea chop salad. You can see the calories are actually identical, but the type of fat, there's almost 11 grams more of fat in this Caesar salad than this salad, and it's got 12 grams of healthy fat, and this has 0. So in comparison, it's much healthier. But you still feel full because you got the chicken still, you got the romaine, it's still the fiber. So salads are your friend when you're trying to lose weight in general. So I just want to recap before we wrap it up. We've reviewed the link between mental health and diet and vice versa, how our emotions can impact our food choices, the importance of identifying emotional triggers and decreasing stress, mindful eating, and lastly, we've reviewed dietary sources of plant polyphenols, antioxidants, fiber, and healthy fats. If you're still feeling confused about the polyphenols, antioxidants, color. Think things with leafy greens, bright blue, orange, red, yellow. It's avoiding more of the beige type of foods and eating more of the vibrant, colorful foods. And as I said before, people with depression or anxiety can sometimes have deficiencies in these certain nutrients, whether it be due to a side effect of a medication or it could be what's leading to the depression or anxiety. The jury's still out, but it can be a two-way street. So we've reviewed omega-3s, which are found in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, but also you can get them from things like chia seeds, walnuts, flax seeds. And if you're not eating fish twice a week, I do actually encourage some form of a fish oil, which we'll get to in the next slide. B vitamins you're probably going to have in your diet if you are eating a balanced diet. They're in chicken, eggs, beans, legumes, and leafy greens. And a 2020 study found that supplementing with vitamin B12 early can delay the onset of depression and may improve the impact of antidepressants when used together. So that's pretty cool. Vitamin D, also known as the sunshine vitamin, of course, because your body makes it from the sun. There was a study in 2022 that found that vitamin D supplementation had a positive effect on depression symptoms. And as we know, I mean, it's 83 degrees out in New York today. Everyone's happy. Everyone's feeling good. So if we can't get that sunlight exposure, there is a little bit of vitamin D as a precursor in eggs and milk. Think calcium and vitamin D. You see fortification in a lot of food systems these days, but I do usually recommend a little vitamin D, especially for our New Yorkers here. Magnesium is very important. It's a vital nutrient for supporting brain health and healthy neurons to manufacture the neurotransmitters that we need. And there was a 2017 study that noted that magnesium supplementation could be very helpful in alleviating symptoms of depression and anxiety. It is found in things like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate, but I do actually usually recommend some form of a magnesium supplement, which will be in the next slide. And the same way for folic acid, it's critical for brain health. Women have to take folic acid when they're pregnant because it creates that connection for like neural tube development in babies. So it is crucial and it's found in leafy greens, but you might need to supplement if you're not eating a balanced diet. It's also fortified in grains. That's why I have a little grain image here, like cereals, but we're trying to get away from more of the processed food and more of the real whole food sources. So definitely try and get your greens in, get your smoothies on. And lastly, zinc. Zinc is an important nutrient that supports neural function. An association between zinc deficiency and psychiatric illness has been noted. And there was a small study that showed that zinc supplementation in conjunction with antidepressants had a major improvement than just the antidepressants alone. Zinc is found in shellfish. It's also found in pumpkin seeds. These images aren't that great, but you likely don't have a zinc deficiency, but sometimes if you're not getting enough, we may recommend a multivitamin that contains zinc or about 15 milligrams. But every supplement we recommend is going to be very individualized. So I don't like to make blanket statements when it comes to vitamins. So when diet is not enough, definitely speak with your physician. Talk to me, talk to Amanda, your dietitians about supplements that could be right for you. Because too much of a good thing can be real as well. And you also want good quality, like fish oil. It's very easy to get bad fish oil, and now we're burping fishy burps, and we feel gross, and the fish is rancid, and that's not helpful either. So we do recommend like wild caught fish oil. Vitamin D, like I said, 1,000 IUs is a good baseline. Some people need more. Vitamin D3. And then magnesium L-threonate is a very good magnesium to try to shoot for. Again, talk to us about, if you need help with this and get it from your diet. And then lastly, if you're taking a multivitamin, it likely has a B vitamin in it, but maybe sometimes people need B complexes, especially if you're taking things like metformin or omeprazole. And then lastly, this strain of probiotic is called Bifidobacteria longum 1714. This strain specifically is for gut-brain connection. I have some patients utilizing it for their IBS. So that is something to discuss with us as well. Like I said, schedule a one-on-one if you're interested, because we can talk more about putting all the pieces together. But if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, I want to kind of break it down. This all kind of blends together into this anti-inflammatory diet pyramid. You want to, baseline is all the different colors and your healthy fats and your nuts and seeds. A little bit less on the dairy, but you can do like the yogurt, the feta cheese, the, milk, almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, all those things. Getting your protein in, getting your eggs, getting your fish, getting your shrimp, getting your chicken, your plant-based proteins like beans. And then really at the tippy top here is the sweets and the processed red meats, just because they're so inflammatory, especially bacon, sausage. Those are terrible for your gut health. So really trying to watch out for those types of things. And I do say, try and get sun exposure, try and get some exercise in. And then, of course, prioritizing those relationships and self-care, because none of this is easy. But if you have some support at home, it can make it a little more easy. And I don't want to bore you with the research, but I got to back up what I'm saying. So there are a lot of studies that support, the use of omega-3s in depression, and specifically ones with EPA. So even doing a gram a day, which is like 1,000 milligrams, can be helpful. In a 2019 meta-analysis, 10 out of the 14 studies showed a positive outcome on at least one domain of cognitive function by using, oh, I didn't finish this, by using the Mediterranean diet, so that anti-inflammatory diet there. A 2020 study based on 37 studies confirmed an association between polyphenols and depression risk. So the better the diet, the lower the depression risk, the lower, more inflammatory the diet, the higher the risk. So get those colors in. And lastly, the Mayo Clinic does report that 30 minutes or more of exercise 3 to 5 days a week may significantly improve depression or anxiety symptoms. I saw something on, I think it was TikTok last night, that said CNN is a depression, is a depressive, uh, basically a depressing thing. and exercise is an antidepressant. So the news is not great, but we want to try and limit our exposure to stress, and exercise is basically the reverse of that. And then lastly, we did do a research study back in 2020 on Mediterranean diet. It was a randomized controlled trial with patients with PTSD, and we did see a reduction in their PTSD scores along with other inflammatory conditions. So the proof is in the pudding, guys. This is very important stuff, and I hope that you gleaned some information from this today. Please let me know if you have any questions or you'll reach out to us. Remember to use our case management team, friends, family, your therapist, anybody that can help you for support. And of course, if you or a loved one is in crisis, always, use that hotline. And I do like this quote by, believe it or not, Jim Carrey. He's a big advocate for mental health. He says, I believe that depression is legitimate, but I also believe if you don't get exercise, eat nutritious foods, get sunlight, get enough sleep, consume positive material, surround yourself with support, you're really not giving yourself a fighting chance. So it can be difficult, but do what you can. I hope that you found some support in this. And I'm going to unshare my screen so I can see if anyone has any questions. Alrighty. And slideshow, discard. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording. So if anyone has